Okay, I found what I wanted to read, and what I'm gonna do is read these two poems, and I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna read this. It's called Let's Make a Slave. That's the title of this video. Let's Make a Slave. So basically, I'm just gonna read something simple. I'm gonna give somebody just a few seconds to see if anybody gonna come in. If not, I'm gonna go ahead on and get started with this video. I'm gonna give a few seconds, it's just a few seconds to see. And if they come in while I'm reading it, I just have to well, they gonna know when they look at the video, and I don't know how long they're gonna stay in here because people don't like when you pointing things out in black and white and you're just reading something. A lot of people not going to sit around for that. I don't know why. They just not. You know what I'm saying? But the Bible says in Revelation 1 and 3, blessed is he that reads and they that hear the words of the prophecy of this book. Those who read it, and what he really meant is, blessed are those who read it, and blessed are those who get the understanding. Blessed are those who read it and understand it. That's what it means. Hear means you understand. That's the only way you can understand something. You have to take time to hear. That's why you got two ears and one mouth, because you're supposed to talk. Excuse me, you're supposed to listen more than you talk. It's the reason why God gave you two ears. You see what I'm saying? So you can hear things good. And I hear people talk about that a lot. I got it from it's a lot of people would say that. And yeah, you have two ears and one mouth. Notice you don't have two mouths. You only have two eyes, and you only have one mouth, and you have two ears. There's a reason for that. Two ears, you can hear real good with two ears. All right, let's go on. Nobody coming in. Let's make a slave. I'm gonna read this slow. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of another country, to the extent that knows the body of the language, to that extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion invasion of a foreign country, of a foreign culture. For example, you take a slave. Here we go. For example, you take a slave. If you teach him all about your language, it says you language. If you teach him about all about your language, that's what they should put an R on the end. Your language. He will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave for you. You can't fool him any longer. A being, you can't fool him any longer. Being a fool is one of the basic ingredients. Being a fool is one of the basic ingredients of incidents to the mentioning, maintenance. Okay, I hope I said that right. And mentioning of the slavery system. Let's read that one more time. For example, you take a slave. If you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave for you. You can't fool him any longer. A being being a fool is one of the basic ingredients of an incident to mentioning of the slavery system. For example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he will know that our crops don't mean our crops. And the slavery system would break down, for he will no relate on the basis of what our crops really mean. Let's read the next part. So you have to be careful in setting up the new language for the slave. Would soon be in your house, talking to you as man to man, and that is death in our economic system. In addition, the definition of words or terms is only a minute apart of the process. Values are created and transported by communication through the body of the language. A total society has many interconnected value systems. All these values in societies have bridges bridges of language to connect them for ordinary working in the society. But for those bridges, for those language bridges, these many value systems would shapely clash and cause internal strife or civil war. The degree of the conflict being determined by the magnitude of issues are related or become issues of related opposing strength in whatever form. Let's make a slave. For example, if you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there, incorporating him it value it as a way of life completely, the biggest problem you would have out of him is that he would worry about provisions to keep the hog pen clean or partially clean, or he might not worry you at all. On the other hand, if you put this same slave in the same hog pen and make a slip, incorporated, something in this language, whereby he comes to value a house more than he does his hog pen, you got a problem. He will soon be in your house. I might need to read that again. For example, if you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there and incorporate in him to value it as a way of life completely, the biggest problem you would have out of him is that he will worry you about provisions to keep the hog pen clean or partially clean, or he might not worry you at all. On the other hand, if you put this same slave in the same hog pen and a, a slip, make a slip and incorporate something in this language, whereby he comes to value a house more than he does his hog pen. He values a house more than he does a hog pen. You got a problem. He will soon be in your house. Okay, basically what they're saying, if you take a slave and put him in a hog pen and he valued the house more than he valued the hog pen, it's basically what I'm saying. The slave master is going to have a problem because the slave master put him out in the hog pen to be a slave. And because he valued his house more than he valued the hog pen that the slave master put him in, that means that the slave master is going to have a problem with this slave, because the best slaves that the white man can have is the one that's not aware of the difference between the hog pen and aware of who his slave master is, or aware of the damage that the slave master is doing to him, or not the things that he's not telling him about his history. So that's the best way. The make you a slave is for him is to do everything that he can, is to what's the word I'm trying to intoxicate your mind. The best way is to make you a slave, not through the body, but through the mind. Because your mind is what you use to think and act with, right? So this is the best way that the white man can control and can get you to be a submissive slave to Christianity. He has to first get you here, because most of the people that's sitting in a church organization is slaves in their mind. And the white man knows that. That's how they destroy you. They has to first use certain things like money, power. That's why you have a lot of our people that is Uncle Toms, because they are blind to the fact, because what they're trying to do is Uncle Tom, the definition of Uncle Tom is somebody that wants to do whatever the slave master tell them to do because they want to do anything that they can is to have acceptance from the people who are more in power. They want to, the dominant society is to accept them. Yes. They wants to receive the approval from white people. That's what a slave is. Dear Black Americans, this is what this next one is. And I like how they got the computer there because see, they know once they get us to download the way when we download stuff into us, first they have to get all out of you what makes you aware of an enemy because they want to remove that part from your mind. Once they remove that part from your mind, you ain't gonna even know how to be aware of your enemy. You're not gonna know how to be aware. How you gonna be aware of being deceived when you don't have the understanding enough there in your mind is to be aware of what's going on. That's why when the slave master broke the slave, the black man, he started with the mind. He started by beating it. The way that he wanted to beat the slave master and make him ignorant, he have to the way he stripped you, he have to mentally beat you and abuse you. That's why the so-called white man is in no position is to be telling nobody about any moral conduct when they have raped, robbed, and murdered over 100 and over 77 million Native Americans over here. And because America is like they say, somebody said 226 years old, and Africa is only 35 years old. Somebody said that's what the nation of Africa is, 35 years old. Now, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I have to go and look. I'm gonna go and after I get off this video, I'm gonna go and look it up and make sure I'm correct. All right. Food for the thought from the internet. Okay. Dear Black Americans, after all of these years, and all we have been through together, we things it's appropriate for us to show our gratitude for all you have done for us. We have chastened you, criticized you, punished you, and in some cases even apologized to you. But we have never formally nor publicly thanked you for your never-ending allegiance and support to our case. Y'all missed the other part that I read. I had to take my time and read that really, really slow because I was fucking it up when I was reading, so I had to read slow. I think that's probably why whoever was in here, they probably left out because I probably was skipping over some shit. You know, that might be what it was. I don't know. All right. Maybe let's go back. Let's go back up here. Okay. This is one small poem. I'm going to read it. It's a smaller poem right there. Let's make a slave. For example, excuse me. Come on, thing, don't do this. Come on now, stop. Made me miss where I was. Oh man, shit. Now you know that ain't nothing but the enemy. This ain't nothing but the enemy, bro. Here we go. Here it is right here. Let's make a slave. For example, if you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there and incorporate in him to value it as a way of life completely. The biggest problem you would have out of him is that he will worry you about provisions to keep the home pen clean or partially clean, or he might not worry you at all. On the other hand, if you put this same slave in the same home pen and make a slip and incorporate something in this language whereby he comes to value a house more than he does his home pen, you got a problem. He will soon be in your house. Okay, I guess what that means is the slave master throw you into a hog pen. That's where he expect Black and Hispanic people to be. But you don't value that, but you value your people or your house more than you value the home pen that he put you in. You got a problem with your goddamn slave master. Oh, you got a problem. Yeah, you they got a problem with you. You probably gonna get fired because the best way is to control you. It's not your body, not how good you look, but they want if the slave master, the white man, can control you here, the mind, that's all he need. That's all he need. That's why you have Uncle Tom's. Because making of a slave, from what I was reading, the way they make a slave, they has to capture you and beat you in submission. And then what they want to do is beat all in you what you really know that makes you aware of who you are. Because if he can beat that up out of you, beat the dominance out of you, and control, wants you to think the way he wants you to think. And that's the key word. They want you to think like them. That's why you have a lot of Uncle Tom. They make the white supremacist talking points. They talk like white people because they want the approval from white people. That's why they do that. That's why they mistreat their own kind of people, because they're doing all of that because they want to be accepted in the white power structure so bad. Why you think a lot of Black men on the police force and they offer to beat their own people down with their damn fists? What Ice Cube say? The Black police showing out for the white cop. Go listen to that song. The Black man will beat you worse than the Black police will beat you worse than the white police, because the so-called the slave master don't need to do it. He gonna push the man that's fucked up in the mind, that's a slave, is to do that to him. Oh, I ain't got to do shit. All I got to do is sit back as the master and watch. They doing the job for me. That's why I encourage every Black and Hispanic person to get off the police force. Yeah. That ain't for you. That is white culture. You are pushing the structure of the white power structure. You are help enforcing and endorsing. Do you know what the police stations are? The modern day slave holders. You know what them police dogs stand for? It's modern day slave catchers, runaway slaves. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Anybody can look this information up and they can be smart as me or smarter than me. You can be smarter than me. It's simple. We got Google. It's easy. You can make a channel too and talk about the same thing I'm talking about if you're concerned about your people. Anybody can do this. Any of us, any of our people can do this. And it ain't got to be me. I'm not the only one. Now look at here. I'm going to read this part right here. Thank you for continuing to bring in 95% of what you earn to our business. This is talking about the slaves in the police station, people. This is talking about the slaves. Thank you for buying our half fingers. And y'all got to forgive me. I don't even know how to even pronounce this. Nicks and all other brands you so adore. Your super rich athletes, entertainers, intellectuals, and business persons, both legal and illegal, exchange most of their money for our car, jewelry, homes, and clothing. What a windfall they have provided for us. The less fortunate amongst you spend all they have at our neighborhood stores, enabling us to open even more stores. Sure, they complain about us, but never do anything to hurt us economically. Man, look, I can go on and on with all this stuff, man. Food for the thought from the internet. Let's see here. Man, look, man, there's so much stuff up in here. Let's go back to this here. I want to reiterate this making of a slave. I want to go, it's just a little short poem. Let me read it. It's just a little short poem. I want to reiterate it. All right. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of another country to the extent that knows the language, the body of the language, to that extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. For example, you take a slave. If you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets. He is then no more a slave for you. You can't fool him any longer. Being a fool is one of the basic ingredients and incidents to the mentioning of the slavery system. That's right. For example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he will know that our crops don't mean our crops, and the slavery system would break down, for he would relate no the basis of what our crops really meant. In other words, if the slave is aware of all of the slave master's tricks, like I didn't even know all of the slave masters' tricks. That's why I was in religion. That's why I can relate to it. That's why I can relate to how they use Christianity or religion to manipulate you. I already know the tricks to it because I done been in it. I done been in I've been in the Christianity streets a long time. Just like when you say I've been in these streets in these fast life streets a long time. Just like some people say I've been in the YouTube streets a long time. I've been in the prison jail system in the jail streets a long time. I done been in the gang. I know the Crips in the blood, the Crips in the. I know all the tricks to the trade, the tricks to the game. I know all of the tricks to the counterfeit, everything. It's the same thing with Christianity. Once you know the game and you know all of the rules of the game, can't nobody swindle you out of nothing or pull that bullshit over you. They can't do it. You don't have to be a genius to not somebody to not do it. I left the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Christianity Church, in 2014. It was in the evening, around maybe a little bit before 1 o'clock. I think I can remember it like yesterday. That was in 2014. I was, let's see, 13, 14. I was in the second year of being on YouTube. That was my second year. But I left in 2014 and never looked back. I remember it like yesterday. It was on a Saturday in the Adventist Church in Smyrna, Georgia. In the evening, probably around about 3, maybe 12, maybe a little bit before 12, before everybody came in the back because they had the fellowship hall and was eating and everything. I left. And when I look at it now, I feel such shame and embarrassment that I was up under the teachings. I mean, up under the influence of what not even learning nothing. And I thought I knew my Bible and I didn't know anything. I thought I knew the Bible. And you come to realize, I came to the conclusion to realize I didn't know shit about the Bible. I thought I did. But you just come to a conclusion, you just been lied to. So for me, why would I want to be and be up under the influence of something like that? Now, the only thing that they was pushing that was real, some of the people, was the Sabbath day. That's accurate. That's accurate. The diet, not eating right and eating healthy and stuff like that. That's true. But all that other shit, like church going and all that kind of stuff, the Bible says in Acts 7 and 48, Christ dwelleth not in temples made with hands. So I'm gonna go ahead on and I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna go ahead on and get up out of here. And I'm gonna see y'all later. This video is called Making a Slave. I think that's what I named it. Yeah, Making of a Slave. Now I'm out.